This is Dylan Bowker with Sportskeeda MMA, and very excited to be talking to an individual coming off of quite the emphatic first round knockout, which went down on March 15th. That went down over Jonathan Gonzalez Ortiz. Great having Edgar Berlanga on the program, and great having him on the Sportskeeda MMA platform to talk a bit about that fight and some other goings on in the world of boxing. How are you doing, Edgar?
I'm doing good, man. Can't complain. I'm over here in the gym about to get this work in today.
And I mean, obviously want to give the due credit for the victory, but I think one would think that with such a quick first round knockout, it could facilitate potentially a quicker turnaround. Like, do you have an idea of when you would like next to get out there for a fight?
I'm actually, I'm a free agent right now, so I'm like, scouting around and we looking for the next opponent. One of the main guys we eyeing right now is Jaime Munguia, who fights in about 3 weeks on May 3rd. So, we looking at that right now. I think that'll be a mega fight if he wins May 3rd. I think me and him will be a big, big, big fight in September, August, September, or October. Those are the 3 months where I think that we could fit in and we could make something happen.
Do you have any plan to be in attendance for that fight to kind of, I guess, even create more discourse around a potential matchup between you guys? Like, is that something you're mapping out to do at all?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about going out there. I'm thinking about doing it. I think that is good for me because just for the simple fact to be there, watch him, cheer him on, um, for the win, and and to meet Turkey. But I know Turkey's gonna be in New York on May 2nd, so that's another thing that I'm like, you know, scoping out too. If I should be at May 2nd at at Times Square, or should I go to Saudi? I'm weighing the option out, seeing what's best. I'm gonna talk to my team and see what fits in best for me.
Yeah, and to the point of options, it seems like that's kind of the case with prospective opponents as well. Like you obviously mentioned Munguia, who would be a great fight for sure, but it seems like Jermall Charlo and Caleb Plant are also on the radar a bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Those are big fights to get made. That's they on the radar 100%. They on my hit list. That's a list that I want. I want Munguia, I want the Canelo rematch, I want Charlo, and I want Caleb. You know what I'm saying? Those are the guys. I feel like me beating two guys out of those three right there, Jamal, Caleb, and Munguia, being at least two of those guys could set me up for a major, major big fight for a rematch with Canelo for the belts.
And I guess between those things, like, is there a certain thing that would take precedence, like one over the other? Like, is the desire to be a champion something that would usurp getting a chance to get revenge against, the biggest box office draw in boxing and Canelo? Like, is there a preference between either of those things in a sense?
Yeah, 1,000%. I think right now, is that's on my radar. You know what I'm saying? He got all the titles, and I want to be a world champ. All the guys in my generation, the younger guys my age, they already become a world champ. You see Keyshawn Davis, Teofimo Lopez, Javante Davis, Shakur Stevenson, Richardson Hitchison, Devin Haney. These guys I grew up with in the amateurs. You know what I'm saying? This is my generation, so I kind of feel left out. You know what I'm saying? I think that it's about time that I gotta beat beat one or two guys with a great name, and then I feel like that rematch with Canelo's right there. I think we can make something happen.
Yeah, and you talk about wanting to get involved in like the boxing circuit, I suppose, with Saudi. And I guess like before I asked that question, to be fair, I guess what I was meaning before was like if the I guess redemptive win over Canelo would almost be sweeter than winning the titles and everything like that. But I mean, talking about Canelo and the deal that he was able to kind of broker going forward, like what are your, thoughts on all of that? Just like what he was able to kind of do there.
What do you mean?
Well, it seems like he's been able to like net himself a pretty big deal. Like he was able to, from what a lot of experts were kind of saying, like maybe use that discourse around the Jake Paul fight to kind of like net him like a pretty big deal coming up, like for the next few fights on the Riyadh season kind of circuit and all.
No, he's a genius, bro, and I got number respect for Canelo. He's a legend, man. Um, and he's top dog, and he could do whatever he wants to do right now. What I'm saying? He could call his own shots. He could do whatever he put in the work. He put in that pain. Where he made his name, and he's going down as one of the greatest Mexican fighters in the world. You know, um, So, I think that, he definitely set a blueprint for us, you know what I'm saying? Besides Floyd, he followed the blueprint of Floyd Mayweather, and I think it's about time I do the same. You know what I'm saying? I gotta follow that blueprint, and just keep winning. You know what I'm saying? That's all that matters. As long as I keep winning, and keep knocking these guys out, you know what I'm saying? And I knock Munguia out in the first round, and I knock Caleb Plant out in the first round, and I knock Charlo out in the first round. You talking about my bag, is gonna be out of this world. I'm gonna be a multi-million-dollar fighter.
Well, I mean, the amount of first round knockouts, like I keep hearing that you're right in there with like names like Mike Tyson for like first round knockouts. So
Yeah,
it would seem like that's kind of
past
part of your
Tyson
broader
though.
pattern.
Yeah, I passed Tyson though with that. Like I got way more first round and he only got eight. Like he probably straight. I got 16 first round knockouts straight. You know. So I passed Tyson and if you look at the records my guys had way better winning records than his fighters. Like we blew him out, you know what I'm saying, on the opponents. So nobody could say, "Oh, this guy's fighting cab drivers." He knocked out guys in the first round. He knocked out guys that was, working at Walmart. Nah, bro. It's not that. You know what I'm saying? Like the guys I knocked out had a way better winning record than the guys that Tyson fought.
Is that kind of related to some of the sentiment that you've heard for your fights, or you're saying maybe the rhetoric is around him or like his opponents not having like the greatest caliber? Like, are you talking about maybe people criticizing you for not having the strongest
Yeah,
opposition, or
yeah, because a lot of people's like, "Oh, he got 17 fights for his round knockout, but he fought straight bums. He fought guys that worked at Walmart and Home Depot, you know what I'm saying, that wash his cars, like that never boxed a day in their life." And I'm like, what? So when Jeremy Florentine, he went and he did a whole big thing and he looked up the numbers and stuff. He was like, "Yo, bro, you're a legend." I'm like, "Wow." He's like, "Bro, those first round knockouts, like all those guys that you fought, I put their records together, wins and losses, and I put the guys that Tyson fought and you blew him out. You know what I'm saying? So I'm actually was fighting tougher guys than what he was fighting. You get what I'm saying? Like if you look at it, probably he was fighting the guys from Walmart or Home Depot, guys that clean cars, So and I'm not taking nothing away from Tyson, but that's for that's for the haters out there, that want to always criticize me and always try to take away, my legacy. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, that's me building legacy. And I feel like I should just always keep pushing that out there. Like I'm a legend already when it's all said and done.
I get the distinction you're making. I guess part of the reason why I mentioned that, very impressive first round knockout factoid relating to Tyson and then also mentioning the Paul name earlier. Like, did you have any thoughts on that Paul versus Tyson Netflix broadcast that happened later last year at all?
Nah, I mean, he's 6 years old. And he fought a young guy, you know what I'm saying? And he made money. He made a lot of money, millions, and that's all that matters. I think his name is already he's a legend in the sport, so it don't really matter. He just made a lot of money. And at his age, he's blessed. Cause no fighter at 60 years old that goes and fights Jake Paul is making that type of money, So I'm happy for him.
Yeah, well said. And if anything, it puts a big spotlight on that Taylor Serrano trilogy fight they're looking to do in the summer, just because I felt like that was like the big fight that was really discussed from
A
that
thousand
Netflix
percent.
card.
Yeah, now that fight is gonna be more bigger now, so and a lot more money they're gonna make too, because there was so many people that was tuned into that fight, that saw that fight. So shout out to Jake Paul.
Yeah, definitely a star-making performance and everything. But we kind of mentioned the, desire for a Canelo Alvarez rematch. I'd be curious to get your thoughts on his upcoming fight against William Scull coming up on May 3rd. There, just his upcoming Cinco de Mayo fight. It always seems like there's, a lot of hoopla around Canelo fights over Cinco de Mayo weekend, understandably. But what are your thoughts on his next challenge in the ring coming up?
I think he should blow past this guy. I don't find nothing at all him exciting. The guy he's fighting, I think he's a bum. I think he's not good. He got lucky. He just fought for the IBF and he won it. That was Canelo's belt, and Canelo released it. So, and then he fought a guy Shishkin that people said that Shishkin actually beat him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't find anything special about the guy. I think Canelo should go in there and just beat him up light work. I think that guy gets tired quick. I feel like once he feels that presence, that Canelo's presence in the ring, and Canelo starts putting that pressure, I think he could stop him in the later rounds for sure.
And I guess I'm kind of backtracking to a thing you were talking about before, but you were talking about being in a free agency period. And I mean, you don't have to get into the specifics if you don't want to, per se, but are there any major players that you're finding yourself really leaning towards right now? Are there like advanced
Nobody right
negotiations
now.
or
Yeah, nobody right now. We just weighing out the options, seeing what's the best move for us to make. On this move, I'm gonna make it my best move. I'm going in as partners. I'm not going in as they my bosses or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And they can control when I'm fighting or when I'm not fighting. And if I gotta sit out, they could put me on the shelf. Now it's not happening. That's definitely not happening no more. And it's a different ball game now. We gonna call the shots. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. At the end of the day, you know, me and Canelo right now is the two biggest names right now in the 168 division. So, they gotta respect that and they gotta put respect on my name. I think right now, I'm the guy to make the biggest fights happen for 168, and I'm the A side. So at the end of the day, I'm a boss now. So, and that's how we moving.
is some of this sentiment tied to what happened where you were initially supposed to headline in Puerto Rico on March 8th, but then ended up in a co-main event
Yep.
capacity on that Williams Volney card?
Yep. Yep. And that's exactly why I'm saying that I'm a boss now and I'm not gonna let nobody run my career. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that happened where I was supposed to main event in Puerto Rico. That was a dream come true to me, and then they just took that dream from me. You know what I'm saying? So, and then, like I said, it's no hard feelings. Y'all see how that co-main event played out anyway. I went viral. Sports Center reposted me up. All these big, big, big pages all over social media posted me up. You know what I'm saying? I had the biggest I'm attending that fight, you know what I'm saying, in the rap industry. So I don't really care about it, you know what I'm saying? I just know that now my next move gotta be my strongest move.
Yeah, I get what you mean. You gotta, I guess, just like know your worth and kind of test yourself in that kind of market and whatnot. But yeah, I know you mentioned the dynamic with like rappers and stuff like that. Like I saw you were at the BET Awards with Fat Joe and whatnot. Like, are you pretty like entrenched in that community, you would say?
Yeah, both. In the Latin world and in the hip hop world, Fat Joe's my brother. And then you got the Latin world, the Latin community, the Latin music side. You got all the guys that I Ghetto, Luar, Arcángel, Calle 13, the list could keep going on. Daddy Yankee, um, it's a lot, yeah. So it's pretty much everybody, Don Omar, Mike Towers, all these guys, and you got the hip hop, that I'm super close with, you know what I'm saying? You got Fat Joe, Jim Jones, Fabulous. Um, the list could keep going on with that too. So Chef G. So it's a lot, and I'm blessed.
Next, I remember seeing you talking to Charlemagne ahead of the Canelo fight and everything, and you were really talking about representing New York and Puerto Rico and everything like that. So yeah, just cool to see all of that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Hell yeah. Not 1,000%.
I guess in you we mentioned the Puerto Rico card kind of falling out with Matchroom there. It seems like MVP has done a fair bit to expand in Puerto Rico, like doing events over there and then signing Puerto Rican fighters. Like, is MVP a promotion that could be a player in this regard? Like, obviously depends on,
Um,
yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. Um, yeah, I'm open. I'm open. But I feel like they focusing right now on women's boxing. So if that's the route that they're going, then hey, it's no. I'm not really too worried. I know that I got the biggest fights in my hands right now to be made. So one of them is gonna bite, you know what I'm saying? And one of them is gonna make good business with us. Because they need these fights to happen. Like people are dreading for these fights. So at the end of the day, we the bosses, we the ones that call the shots. So, it's whoever's gonna come with a great bag and a great plan for us, we're gonna side with that.
I'd be curious to also gauge if you have any thoughts on the upcoming TKO boxing league that's being helmed by Dana White and Turki Alalshikh. It seems like they're looking to really, I guess, shake things up a little bit and whatnot, or at the
Yeah.
very least become a player in the scene.
Now yeah, but that I don't really have a comment because I wouldn't fight on that. Um, it's pretty. I mean, it's probably good for like fighters that's coming up that don't have, that haven't got signed with no big promotions. Or promoters, certain promoters don't want them, and they could probably have opportunity now to showcase their skills on a platform like that. TKO. It's a little weird that you bringing a guy from UFC to boxing. So, but it is what it is, man. Turkey got the money. He's the big bag. And Turkey's just he's just want to. I feel like he just want to shake up the boxing world and try to bring in something new.
And do you think he's done that so far? Like, do you like what are your thoughts on his influence? Like, obviously bringing in a tremendous amount of capital to the game.
Nah, yeah, for sure he did. He's changing the game. I think he's putting the biggest fights together happening, and now he's trying to move his promotion, the rider season into the United States. So it's dope that he's actually doing that. I think that is a game changer. What I'm saying? It's definitely a game changer for fighters like us. To make a lot of money.
Yeah, and I think one of the more intriguing examples of that is, for my money, a guy like Francis Ngannou, just his story of leaving the UFC as their reigning champion in search of, bigger paydays and got some pretty big ones by all accounts, fighting Fury and Joshua on that Riyadh season circuit. And it seems like he wants to, take on more boxing bouts as well. Like, what are your thoughts on Francis Ngannou's journey in boxing and just his whole arc and everything?
Yeah, it's crazy. He definitely changed the game. Going in, and he made a lot of money. So I think that he's blessed because not a lot of UFC fighters could do that. Conor McGregor did it with one time with Floyd. You know, this guy did it twice. For a lot of millions more than he ever was gonna make in the UFC. So I think it's pretty dope.
Yeah, and I wasn't even intending to ask this per se, but you mentioned McGregor, and he was kind of talking about how he's like kind of contented with his accomplishments and whatnot. Like, I felt like some people read that as maybe him saying he was not going to fight again. Like, what are your thoughts on all of that, if you have any?
On McGregor trying to trying to come back.
Like, he was kind of talking about his career in a recent BKFC post event press conference, and it seemed like the language he was using, some people read that as him saying that he might not fight again. I was just wondering your thoughts on just his potential retirement, I suppose, from combat sports.
Yeah, with McGregor, I think he's well off good. I think he made a crazy name for himself in UFC industry, in the boxing world. I feel like he's good to go. Like there's nothing for him to do unless he wants to come and just shake it up a little bit more because he's an entertainer and people love people that talk bad and talk like not good. He talks crazy, so I feel like that attracts a lot of people to want to see him. But yeah, I mean, he's doing a lot of things, man. He got a lot of like investments. And he's making a lot of millions. And then he's like part owner of what is it called?
Yeah, BKFC.
Yeah, BKLC. So he's making millions off that. There's a lot that he's into. So probably he just wants to retire because he don't need the money no more. He's good.
Yeah, I guess like in bringing that up, like I'd be curious, do you have any thoughts on like the modern resurgence of bare knuckle boxing, like BKFC doing a fair bit in that space and that BKB bare knuckle boxing league, one of the bigger players? I guess I'd be curious to get your thoughts being that you're such a pedigreed gloved boxer.
Yeah. I think it's crazy. I like it. I'm a fighter, and we natural born killers. So I think it's dope that they taking off the gloves and they're actually street fighting. It's crazy because these guys, they're not making that much money, and these guys' faces getting messed up bad. Because now you're using straight fists. So you getting crazy cuts all over your face. But yeah, I feel like it's crazy, a crazy sport. If they offer me a crazy, 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 crazy bag, I'll fight with no gloves too.
Yeah, I guess just the money has to make sense. And I'd be curious to get some insights into this because it seemed like the days when you were, in the gym with Benny Roman and he was holding things down when, your dad was kind of absent in certain scenarios. Like
Yeah.
it seemed like from what I was seeing around that time, baseball was also a big obsession for you. Like, what do you think it was back then that I guess boxing kind of became that singular sort of path and whatnot?
Yeah, I think boxing chose me. I didn't choose boxing. I feel like boxing definitely chose me. Um, because I thought I was gonna be a baseball player. I thought I was gonna be the biggest baseball player. I love Derek Jeter. I love the Yankees, Alex Rodriguez. Those are my guys, and I was, I was more into leaning into baseball. But then when I started boxing, it's just like everything changed for me. Like right there, it was like boom, all right, like I'm a box, and I started missing like practices, like baseball practices, because of boxing, and I just started leaning more towards boxing, and like I said, I feel like boxing chose me. So I think right now, nah, but I'm not gonna lie. Now that I'm where I'm at and I'm older, I'm like, damn, I should have still playing baseball, man. All these guys are getting $700 million contracts, man. I'm like, sheesh. And I would have been good. I would have been good because I'm a guy that I'm athletic. So when I was younger, I was me not even going to practices like that. I was like probably like the second best player on my team. You know, and that's me not even practicing, not even taking it serious like that. You know what I'm saying? Because when I started boxing, so I think that if I would have still playing baseball, I would have definitely been in the MLB for sure.
Yeah, it seemed like you were like a multi-sport athlete from many accounts from what I'm seeing through this article I'm
Yeah,
referencing. So,
and
yeah, I mean, yeah.
yeah, basketball too. Basketball, I was when my dad went away on his second bid. Basketball was definitely something that I was like, oh, I could do this too, because I was cooking. Like I was outside and I was getting busy, and people was like, yo, you got talent. So I feel like anything, like once you athletic and I'm a guy that I could have been a football player, baseball player, basketball player, fighter, it didn't matter. I feel like either one, if I would have put my all into it, I would have been great at whichever one.
Do you still keep up with those sports? Like, not necessarily in a physical application sense, but like a fandom kind of sense? Like, do you still follow these sports or are you too focused on your own athletic endeavors?
Yeah, I'm mostly focused on boxing, but like here and there, I'll jump I'll jump on a basketball, like I see a basketball game or something. Not too much football, barely football, but more like baseball. Yeah, baseball for sure, and basketball for sure.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. And I guess just like one of the last things I kind of wanted to touch on, or at least something that I wanted to put out there before it kind of escaped me, because it seems like there's some talks that later on, as part of this deal that Canelo has, that there would be a Terence Crawford fight there looking to lock in. Like, as someone who has gotten in those rounds with Canelo Alvarez, like, how do you see a Bud Crawford fight playing out if that came to
Yeah,
fruition?
it's levels. You know what I'm saying? Crawford is undisputed. He's a great fighter. Canelo's a great fighter, but I just feel like it's weight classes for a reason. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be tough. It's different when you go in there. It's different when you step in there with Canelo. He's a stronger fighter. You know what I'm saying? He's strong. He comes forward, and you're not knocking that guy. Like Crawford's not gonna knock that guy out. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest. He's not. I don't see him doing any of that to him. You know what I'm saying? That guy is he's just a big guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just weight classes for a reason. But hey, he could pull it off, then you know, let's get it. But if not, I really then people understand why. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a 147 pounder. 154 now, but still, it's just weight classes for a reason.
Just such an interesting landscape in boxing where we can even talk about these kind of fights and whatnot. And yeah, it just seems like a great time for the sport in a certain sense.
Yeah, for sure. I think Crawford. Crawford's a beast. I don't take nothing away from him. He's two-time undisputed. God bless him. And he's doing what he had to do for his career. You know what I'm saying? I know that he takes his fight, he gonna make a lot of money, a lot of M's, millions.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. And it's been great getting to talk to you today, Edgar. A lot of great things you've done in your career and just yeah, cool to, get some insights from you and talk a bit today. But I also want to be mindful of what you're getting up to. So I figured I'd give you the floor if you had a final parting thought you wanted to add as we're wrapping up, man.
Yeah, I'm working with the Christian Barrero Foundation. It's the CEO is John Herrera. Is a great friend of mine. He's like an uncle to me. He's like my father's brother. Is helping kids, with brain tumors that that's being diagnosed with DIPG, and there's young kids that's dying. In 2 months, 3 months, they just dying over this tumor, and we're looking for the cure for it. I've been working with them for over 2 years already now. I'm a board member, and yeah, I'm giving we giving back. You know, what I'm saying money, and we doing a lot of great things. You know, to try to build this foundation and keep you know spreading awareness of this tumor. You know, that's killing kids and even adults. You know, so yeah, I'm working with them. I got my chosen collection. I got a chauffeuring business in New York City. You know, private chauffeuring trucks, you know what I'm saying, Sprinter trucks. You know, then I have a auto body shop that I'm starting up to open up in New York as well. So yeah, I got pretty dope things, you know, that's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean that's great that you're using your platform to really raise awareness for something like that, and like just trying to figure out a cure and whatnot, and just help people who are in a rough situation. So that's incredible that you're doing that with the Christian Rivera Foundation.
No, for sure, man. You know, it's a blessing. I'm happy to be working with the kids. You know, I love the kids, and just me giving back to them. You know, I know God is gonna bless us. You know what I'm saying? We definitely gonna keep working hard. I know for sure. John is on his he's all gas, no break. You know, he's putting down on that pedal to find his cure. You know, his son had died from the same diagnose. He was diagnosed with the same thing. I believe at like 4 or 5 years old, his son died. You know, so that's what really turned him into wanting to start the Christian Rare Foundation. You know.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. You're doing something like that. That's a really admirable effort and everything like that. So yeah, great thing to mention as we're kind of wrapping up. I guess like one of the things that I wanted to put out there, like, is there any way that other people can help out with this situation? Like, can they
Yeah.
spotlight it? Can yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, we have on Instagram. You look it up, the Christian Rare Foundation. You know, you got the GoFundMe that we have out too. And once you push the Christian Rare Foundation, everything will pop up. You know, you could put the ChristianRareFoundation.com, you know, everything will just pop up. You could just read about it, hear about it, see it, you know, it's big. You know, we got Keenan Thompson, we got Luis Guzman actors, we got a whole bunch of people that work on you know with the news, actors, baseball players, fighters like myself. You know, the board members is like the board members is about like probably like 15 of us, and is big.
Yeah, no, great to mention that, and awesome that other people can, support and get involved.
Yeah.
So absolutely, whoever's listening to this interview, go out of their way and definitely do that. Great cause. And thanks so much, Edgar, for coming on the
Thank you, I
Sportskeeda
appreciate it.
MMA platform today. Yeah, looking
Thank you.
forward to seeing what shakes out as far as like your, next fight and what happens in this free agency period, man. So thanks so much for coming on today, and you have a good rest of your day. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Dylan.